So Ruth Robb, welcome. Welcome to our Wednesday Live. It is lovely to see you. You you are the founder of one of the charities that we support as a church, Azalea. Can you tell us, Ruth, about Azalea? Imagine we know nothing about it.
Azalea is a local charity. It's set up by Christians and it's set up to be non-judgmental towards all who are involved in commercial sexual exploitation, which is prostitution. And it's saying that all can be free through Jesus, and that his way is a way of grace. His way is about forgiveness, and that everyone can get involved in Azalea. Everyone has a little hole in their heart that can be filled with Azalea in some very precious way.
Wow, we've supported as a church, and my family as a family supported Azalea now for years, and we know you do a phenomenal work, and that it is a holistic ministry with those who are exploited and those who are victims of another sense, the exploiters, and you actually have a heart for both, don't you?
Yes. The phone still
and
rings
you've got a
in
busy
the office. But we can carry on.
No, absolutely. I'll probably get an Amazon delivery any moment. So that's the
Where's
way.
your cat?
Yeah, exactly. So, how during lockdown, most of us have had to completely reorganize our lives and do things completely different. Your charity is dealing, on the front line with women who are on the streets of Luton. So it's not possible really to lock down properly. So how have you coped under lockdown?
So there's a lot to say. So Jesus came to us as COVID, which sounds controversial because so many of our women have really suffered over COVID, but so many of them have met Jesus through COVID. So many of them have a living relationship through Jesus. So many of them have had sweet justice to do with their housing, to do with freedom from their perpetrators. So many of the hungry have been fed. So this is the best time we've ever had in Azalea. This is why we all signed up. We have volunteers. I had a volunteer last night to drop in with me who works with her husband 18 hours a day and yet found time to come. So we have an incredible resource within God's family to support the lost and the dying, and to say they matter and to say they're not lost. All services in Luton closed. Our food bank closed. We landed up having to have a food bank that was gender neutral. We saw things that nobody should hear or see. And it's one of the best experiences of my life to be Jesus's hands and his feet, to be his ears and to be his mouth, and to care for people who it felt like nobody else was caring for. And we were there because of churches like High Street Methodist Church. And we are able to exist because of your support, and primarily because of your prayer support. And it's been incredible to see women housed. So before COVID, we had 38% of our women were homeless, and now it's 14%. We've been able to see them safe away from their perpetrators. They love online services. They're doing Bible studies on the phone. It just goes on and on and on. And one of my biggest stresses, and I mean this, is not having enough time to thank God for all the miracles that he's done, all the people that have had their lives changed. It has been fantastic, and we've loved it.
This is amazing because it's sort of in so many areas of life, people have just got bad news stories at the moment, but actually for you, working with some of the most vulnerable women in the country, they're experiencing good news in the midst of this. Are you able to tell us, any of the particular stories, obviously without naming names, about what has happened for some of these women?
Yeah, it's such a difficult question because there's so many, but I'm going to choose one. Her name's Daisy, and we've known her for years and years. She's always struggled in believing that God loves her as she is. She always feels that she has to change to be loved by God. And so she came to us and she asked that incredible question, how can I help Ruth? Because it was just crazy here. It was absolutely crazy. And so she came and she helped us with the food bank, and she landed up displaying all these gifts inside her that we never knew were there. And she led prayers, she did Bible studies, and we believe everyone has a right to give. And it just showed, and we respected her in the building, we trusted her, she was allowed in the staff area, and it was just incredible to see how trust changed her. And that's one of our core values. And I believe when you hit crisis, you need to go to your core values. So how can we close if our core values are courage, trust and dedication? We have to carry through. And out of that experience, Daisy was able to see that actually she needed to get to the root of why she's been involved in commercial sexual exploitation, to begin to look at the child sexual exploitation that happened to her. And she's always decided not to do that because it was too painful. But because she was trusted, she was able to do that. And so now she's in a drug rehab, having real therapeutic Christian healing prayer around her. And her opening door was to see that we trusted her. So it was just leaning into our core values.
Yes. Yeah. So the future,
it was absolutely fantastic.
I was going to say, so for her, I mean, the future at the start of lockdown was the same old, being exploited, the drug addiction, the spiral of negativity, and now how does she view the future now? What's
Yeah, she's got a plan to go to university, but she's always felt she has to receive, that she's got nothing to give. And she saw that she's got intelligence, she saw that she's got extraordinary organisational skills. And so her plan is to go to university after this. We managed to get her sponsorship, and then she wants to do events around the country for an organisation, and it's going to happen. And it's incredible because she's seen who she really is through being trusted.
Wow. Just hearing that one story, if it were just one story, I'd think all of the prayers we've prayed, all of the money we've given, it's worth it for her, isn't it? And yet she's just one of countless others. How many women at the moment are you connected with?
So currently we're at 142, but those that are in the transforming category, I think we're up to 28.
Wow. 28 lives being transformed.
Yeah, it's like Christmas every day.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah.
You know, I think about all the people that got involved in Azalea through the years.
Yeah.
You know, who have signed up, who have their nice bookmarks. I'm sure I've got one in my drawer here, but who've got our nice bookmarks, and prayed for some of these women. And I just want to say, do you know this woman? Do you know what's happening to her? It's just fantastic. And it has been such good news. But in all that, we've had a crazy explosion of violence towards the women. It's been terrible. So normally last year we did 4 reports to safeguarding for vulnerable adults. This year we've done 36.
Wow.
Yeah. So the violence has been absolutely horrendous. But through that, God has used that as a vehicle. It was never his plan for women to get hit. It's never his plan for people to be victims of domestic violence. But he can use anything for his good. And he's used that for the good of people and restored. And it's been beautiful because they have a right to be treated well.
Yes.
Yeah. And not to be victims of violence. That's been something that we've kept on saying. This is why we're open, because you have a right to receive the love of God. Because
I mean, early on in lockdown, it was recognised through the media that, and it stands to reason, that actually if you are in an abusive relationship, and suddenly you are trapped with your abuser through lockdown, you know, that more abuse is going to happen. So it's wonderful to hear that Azalea has actually been able to connect with those abused women and provide support. I mean, has that support enabled some of those women to actually, you know, get to a safe place?
Yeah, always. So we're in partnership with Luton Borough Council, and they have been fantastic at housing. And we've just worked all the time together to such an extent. We all phone each other at the end of the day during sort of April and May, because it was just crazy trying to get people into accommodation. But they took loads of risks. They used their values to know what to do.
Yeah.
Bizarrely, I did training with them on commercial sexual exploitation the beginning of February, not knowing any of this was going to happen. And so they really understood the plight of the women and the narrative of their suffering. And it was just fantastic, because it just was like a conveyor belt of sweet justice.
Yes.
One after another.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a lot about this before, you and I, over the years, but you know, the reputation, the sort of prejudice against women who are caught up in sexual exploitation is horrendous. And actually the law is the law of the land is prejudice against them as well. And a lot of your work is about breaking down that prejudice, actually pushing that to side and recognizing the human being who is caught in this trap, which is, you know, when you hear some of the stories, and I know you shared some with me over the time, they are in a living hell and need complete freedom. They are. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous.
We had, and I mean, it's just so difficult to not talk about everybody, but we had one particular woman, let's call her Ellie. We've been trying to get her out of a horrendous perpetrator existence. We could not get the support for her at all. And then COVID-19 happened, and there was money released from central government to house the most vulnerable, and we were able to get her out.
Wow.
Absolutely fantastic. So it's just been incredible to see it. And she sees it as an answer to prayer.
Yeah.
She sees it as an answer to prayer, because we were working since the beginning, January 2020, to try and rehouse her, and just was unsuccessful, just too many insurmountable hurdles. And then COVID came along, and she's been housed, and she's thriving.
So for Ellie, the experience is being basically lifted out of the very heart of where all the abuse was happening and everything that goes with it, and is now completely safe from that.
Yeah, it's like Isaiah 40. He takes me from the pit, and I'll sing a new song, and that's what's happened to her.
Yeah,
it's just wonderful. I mean, when we go around, because we still have the women isolating, because so many of them have very serious lung conditions, you know, hyper vulnerable, and just to see the happiness in their lives, and to see the way they love the Bible, and to see the Bible studies that they're involved in by themselves and with Azalea remote team, it's just so inspirational. It really is.
Yeah. So in terms of your operation, it sounds like you're busier than ever during lockdown.
6 times busier.
So how are you resourcing that? How's that happening? How's it changed your operation? Yeah,
so when we are in the building where the women go, we all wear PPE. All our surfaces are washed down every 2 hours. I'm on some task force to do with hearts, beds and bucks, and we look at what is best practice and all that. So that's reviewed every week. How we're resourced, prayer is the big thing, and God's people, food bank. We give out a huge amount of food, and people have been crazy generous with money. And also we have the gorgeous Helen Snowden, who has written so many application forms for trusts and grants here and there. I call them G&Ts actually, but she's done that, and we've managed to get money in to keep us going.
Yes, yeah.
And it's been fantastic.
So the Methodist member of High Street Methodist Church who does your G&Ts for you. That's fantastic.
She does, but she doesn't do elderflower ones.
Oh, right, okay. In terms of, in terms of prayer,
Yeah.
What, we've got lots of our members pray for you daily, have the bookmarks and pray for particular women daily. Are there particular things though that at the moment you and your team and the women you're trying to help would really value prayer for?
Yeah, it's sustainability. So we literally were 6 times, and there's 2 particular weeks when I worked out we were 10 times busier than normal. The numbers were just unbelievable. So it's sustainability of what we've got here. And that all those women who have invited Jesus have done that to Revelation 3, have heard him knocking on the door, have invited him in, that they know how to keep him.
Yes.
As a friend, they know how to keep him as a friend, and they know how to handle the goodness of God. And I love the Bible. The Bible is so good. But it's interesting, isn't it, when you read about Exodus and the children of Israel leaving, although their existence was hell, they still craved for it when they were in the promised land. And once they got over the shock of being in the promised land, that's when they need to really dig into Jesus and dig in deep and get to the roots of the issues, not just to deal with the fruits of it, which is crisis intervention, but to go deeper with Jesus.
Yeah.
And our Alpha here has absolutely exploded. We have so many women who come to it and are really hungry for God. So that's our biggest prayer, that we can sustain what God's done here, and that we can see revival, and that we have other stories like Daisy, who realised that she has a right to give, and that other women will be catalysts for God to use.
Yes.
Yeah. And we love it because Jesus has been shown in Luton to be loud and proud about the poor, because he is. Yeah. And he's always found with the poor, and he's been seen to be that. And I love that. His character has been shown to be here. And it's been awesome. And I think it's a real understanding of all the people who work behind the scenes, make it happen. We really are a sort of 1 Corinthians 12 bunch of people. We are the body of Christ. We have to have everyone involved to make it happen.
Yes. Yeah. Do you, some of those watching this, whether they've heard of Azalea before or not, will be listening to you and thinking, actually, I would like to get involved. What does it take to volunteer for Azalea, and what sort of people are you after? What sort of work do they do?
Yeah, so our youngest volunteer is 22, our eldest is 86. So, and there's many in between. So, and we particularly need more men to be here. The women really need to see men. I was on drop-in last night, and there's a guy called Jason who was there, 24 years old. That speaks so much to the women. That's such a healing presence in their lives. So we need more volunteers. So just look at our website and get involved. We need people. We desperately need somebody to hang pictures up right now.
Wow.
So any skill people have got, we can use it. Seriously, anything is wonderful, because everyone does have that hole in their heart for Azalea.
Yes.
And but with all that to say, the most important thing is to pray.
Yes.
Yeah, and we don't know how our finances are going to go, nor does anywhere.
No.
No. But we know that God is good, and we know that God is kind, and that God will supply.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we will, in the middle of, by some miracle, Lewis will make sure that the Azalea website address is put at the bottom here, and anyone who particularly just feels I want to give in some way to Azalea, go there and contact you, and that'll be brilliant. My family, we give monthly, because we know very much you need to know the stability that you've got incoming. So however little people can give, if you can pledge to give regularly, it means that the finances, I know, of Azalea can be planned forward, and you can do that. Also, I want to encourage people who are members at High Street Methodist Church, when you see, usually through Louise, we and our share scheme, a request for certain things. It very often it's those things are going to Azalea, and you tell us what you need. We tell our people to go to the shops or whatever, and it ends up being delivered to you, which we love. We love that partnership. Yeah. And even though many of us will never get to meet the women we're helping, just hearing your stories or their stories through you is so encouraging. It really is. Yeah. Oh, it's lovely to speak to you, Ruth.
It's so lovely. I've missed you.
Oh, I missed you too. Yeah. Although we have occasionally waved to each other, I think.
Yes, when you've been running.
I was running down High Street and suddenly there's this beep on a horn and a mad person looking out their window waving at me.
I know, and it was 7:15 once, and I thought, oh gosh. could be better.
As I said before we started recording, I'm so glad that we both got the memo about the dress code.
Yes.
So we're matching, which is fantastic. Anyway, Ruth, thank you so much for all that you do. You are very much at the heart of our prayers, as are your volunteers, your staff, and those you are seeking to help. And do give our love to your whole team. And
bless you.
And when this is all over and we can all meet in the church again, we'll have you to come and see you in person and tell us some more stories. That would be great.
Yeah, I would love that, Mark.
God bless.
And you.